It was a quiet Sunday morning in Portland, Oregon. The kind of morning where the air smells like rain and pine, where the whole neighborhood is still asleep, and the only sound you hear is birds. Sarah walked out to her back porch in her slippers. She reached down, pinched a few fresh mint leaves, snipped some chamomile flowers, and walked back inside. 10 minutes later, she was sitting in her favorite chair, holding the warmest, most fragrant cup of tea she had ever tasted in her life. No grocery run, no $14 box from Whole Foods, no mystery ingredients on the label. Just her tiny porch garden and her cup. That moment changed everything for her. And today, it might just change everything for you too. Hi, and welcome back. If you're new here, I want you to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell, because every single week I show you how to grow real food, real herbs, and build a garden that actually feeds your life, no matter how much space you have.
Now, let's grow something beautiful together. So, here's a question I want you to sit with for a second. When was the last time you actually knew what was in your tea? Most of us have been buying the same little paper bags from the same grocery store shelf for years. And that's fine. But there's a whole different world on the other side of that shelf. A world where you grow it yourself, where you step outside in the morning and your garden is your tea collection. That world is called a tea garden, and it is so much simpler than it sounds. I want to tell you a story. A few years ago, I was standing in the tea aisle at a Whole Foods in Denver. I picked up a box of chamomile, $12, and on the back, in tiny print, it said, "Product of Egypt." I stood there for a moment, and I thought, chamomile grows everywhere. It grows wild in fields in Illinois. People grow it on windowsills in New York City apartments. It literally self-seeds and comes back every year on its own. So why am I paying $12 for chamomile that traveled halfway around the world? I went home. I ordered 3 small plants. I put them on my apartment patio. And that first harvest, that first cup I brewed from my own chamomile, I sat down and I just smiled. Because it tasted like nothing I had ever bought in a store. It was brighter, more alive, like drinking sunshine. That was the beginning of my tea garden. And today, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to start yours.
Let's start with the most important question. Where are you going to grow? And I want you to hear this clearly. You do not need a big yard. You do not need a farmhouse in Vermont or rolling land in Tennessee. What you need is sunlight. 6 to 8 hours of direct sun a day. That's it. If you're in a Brooklyn apartment with a south-facing window, you can grow 3 or 4 herbs in pots on that windowsill. If you have a balcony in Austin or a small patio in Chicago, you have more than enough space for a full tea herb collection. If you happen to have a backyard in the suburbs of Atlanta or Portland, well, you're basically sitting on a tea paradise and you don't even know it yet. Here's one tip that will save you so much frustration. Before you plant a single thing, spend 1 week just watching the sun move across your space. Morning, afternoon, evening. Because the spot that looks bright at 9 a.m. might be completely shaded by 2 p.m. And that one mistake, choosing the wrong spot, can be the difference between a thriving garden and a struggling one. Watch first, then plant.
Okay, now let's meet the plants. And I want to tell you about each one like it's a character in a story. Because honestly, it kind of is. First, chamomile. Imagine a tiny daisy. White petals, bright yellow center, swaying gently in a breeze on a summer afternoon somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. That's chamomile. And it is one of the most generous plants I have ever grown. It brews into a tea that is gentle and floral and slightly sweet. It's the herb people reach for after a long day, after a stressful week at work, right before bed when the world finally needs to slow down.
Chamomile grows in almost every climate in the United States, Zone 3 all the way to Zone 9. That's Maine to Southern California. You can grow it in pots, in raised beds, directly in the ground. And here's my favorite thing about chamomile. You plant it once, and it takes care of itself after that. It drops its own seeds at the end of the season, and next spring, new plants come up on their own, like a little gift from last year's garden. Harvest the flowers in the early morning, right after the dew has dried, when they're fully open and fragrant. Just run your fingers along the stem like a rake, and the flowers pop right off into your hand.
Next, mint. Mint is the golden retriever of the herb world. Enthusiastic, energetic, friendly to everyone, and absolutely impossible to contain. There are dozens of varieties: peppermint, spearmint, chocolate mint, mojito mint. Each one brings something different to your cup. Peppermint is bold and cooling. Spearmint is softer and sweeter. Chocolate mint, honestly, smells like a peppermint patty, and it is incredible. Mint is perfect for digestion, for congestion, for those mornings when you need something refreshing and alive to wake you up. But here is the most important thing I will tell you about mint. Are you listening? Do not plant it directly in your garden bed. I mean it. Mint spreads underground through runners. It will take over your entire garden. I have talked to gardeners in Atlanta who made this mistake and spent 2 full summers trying to undo it. Grow mint in its own container. Keep it separate. Let it do its wild, enthusiastic thing in a pot where it can't escape. In that pot, it will thrive. Full sun, partial shade, doesn't matter. Mint will grow almost anywhere and come back stronger every time you cut it. Now, lemon balm. This one is special. Lemon balm is a member of the mint family, so it has that same carefree, grow-anywhere spirit, but the flavor is completely different. It's citrusy and soft and a little bit sweet, like someone dropped a lemon into your cup, but gently. People in ancient Europe used to call it the gladdening herb because they believed it lifted the spirit. And when you brew a cup and breathe in that citrus fragrance on a gray morning in Seattle or a cold February afternoon in Chicago, you understand why. It grows beautifully in zones 4 through 9. And here's something I love about lemon balm. It actually does well with a little afternoon shade, which means if you're in Texas or Florida where the summer sun is absolutely brutal, lemon balm is your herb. It can handle it. One tip, keep it trimmed. Harvest it regularly. Once lemon balm flowers, the leaves lose a lot of their flavor, so stay on top of it and it will reward you all season long. Let's talk about lavender. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're driving down a country road in the Sequim Valley in Washington state. On both sides of the road, fields and fields of lavender, purple as far as you can see. The air smells like something between a flower and a dream. Sequim is actually called the lavender capital of North America, and if you ever get the chance to visit during their summer lavender festival, go. Now, you probably think of lavender as soap, or candles, or those little sachets in your grandmother's dresser. But lavender tea is one of the most calming, beautiful things you can make in your own kitchen. It has anti-inflammatory properties, it's used to ease anxiety, it helps people sleep. Lavender wants full sun and dry, well-drained soil. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, the Southwest, or the Mid-Atlantic, lavender will absolutely thrive for you. If you're in a humid climate in the Southeast, just make sure it has excellent drainage and good airflow. Lavender does not like wet feet. And then there are the herbs that round out your collection. Thyme, earthy and slightly herbal, excellent for sore throats and winter coughs. One of the most medicinal herbs you can grow. Lemon verbena. This one has the most intensely citrusy fragrance of anything I have ever grown. In the summer, I brew it iced, with a little honey and a squeeze of lemon over ice, and it is absolutely one of the best drinks you will ever have. And tulsi, holy basil.
deeply rooted in Ayurvedic tradition from South Asia. It has this warm, slightly clove-like, almost sacred flavor. People who discover tulsi tea never go back to regular basil tea again. Ever. Start with 2 or 3 of these. Then add more as you grow more confident. This garden grows with you. Now, soil. I know soil sounds boring, but stay with me for just a minute because this part matters. Most tea herbs want the same basic thing. Loose soil, slightly acidic, good drainage, rich but not soggy.
If you're growing in containers, and I highly recommend starting with containers, get a good quality potting mix from your local nursery. Add some compost, maybe some worm castings if you can find them. Mix it together and you are ready to go. If you're planting in the ground, pick up a simple soil pH test kit. You can find them at any garden center. A True Value in Ohio, a nursery in the Bay Area, even most big box stores carry them. You want your pH somewhere between 6.0 and 7.0 for most tea herbs. If your soil is heavy clay, which is really common in the Midwest and parts of the South, mix in some perlite or coarse sand. Clay holds too much water, and most of these herbs will get root rot before you even realize something is wrong. And fertilizer? Honestly, add compost at the start of the season, add a little more in midsummer. That is all these herbs ever really need. Keep it simple. Now, the moment you have been waiting for. Harvest Day. Picture this. It's early morning. The sun has just come up. There's still a little dew on the leaves. You walk outside in the garden, and everything smells incredible. This is when you harvest. Always in the morning. After the dew dries, but before the full heat of the day kicks in. This is when the essential oils in the leaves are at their absolute peak. Maximum fragrance, maximum flavor, maximum everything. The golden rule of harvesting. Never take more than 1/3 of any plant at one time. Always cut just above a leaf node, that little bump on the stem where new leaves grow from. When you cut there, the plant sends out 2 new branches. More growth, more tea for you. For chamomile flowers, harvest when they are fully open and fragrant. For leafy herbs like mint and lemon balm, pick before they flower. Once they flower, the flavor starts to drop. Now here's how you brew it. 1 teaspoon of dried herbs per 8 ounces of hot water, or 2 tablespoons of fresh herbs if you're using them straight from the garden. Pour your hot water over the herbs, cover the cup, steep for 5 to 10 minutes. Then add honey if you like, a slice of lemon, maybe a little fresh ginger. Make it yours. I'm telling you, that first cup from your own garden, it tastes different. Not just because it's fresher, but because you grew it. Your hands were in that soil, and now that cup is in your hands. There is nothing like it. If you want to save herbs for winter, here's what I do. Bundle 4 to 6 stems together with a piece of twine. Hang them upside down in a dry, ventilated space. A kitchen, a garage, a pantry, anywhere with good airflow and low humidity. In 2 to 3 days, they're perfectly dried. Take them down, strip the leaves off the stems, store them in glass jars with tight lids, away from direct light. Under good conditions, they will stay flavorful for up to a full year. And in the middle of January, when there's snow on the ground in Vermont or gray skies over Chicago, you open that jar and the smell of summer comes rushing back. One last thing I want to say before we wrap up. Your tea garden doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like a magazine photo. Put a small chair near your herb pots. Add a little trellis with trailing nasturtiums. Let the thyme spill over the edge of the raised bed. Let the chamomile self-seed and come back wild and a little messy next spring. This garden is a living thing. It grows with the seasons. It surprises you. It asks for very little and gives you so much in return. And the best moment of a tea garden is not the harvest. It's not even brewing. It's that quiet morning when you step outside, when the world is still, When you reach down and pinch a leaf between your fingers and breathe in something you grew yourself. That moment is yours. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one herb, just one, the one you already love drinking. Maybe it's chamomile, maybe it's mint, maybe it's something you've never tried growing before. Order a small plant or a packet of seeds. Find the sunniest spot you have and start there. That's it. That's the whole beginning. If this video helped you or inspired you at all, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people find this channel. And drop a comment below and tell me, what is the first herb you are going to plant in your tea garden? I want to know. I read every single comment.